from Abuja, I am Olajide Bello. First, the headlines. Minister of Information and National Orientation assures Nigerians of safety, says all kidnapped persons were brought home safely.
I want to assure you and assure Nigerians that we are working. It's a matter of time. It will come to an end.
Federal government to ensure effective implementation of a national glaucoma guideline and toolkit for well-being of Nigerians.
Government effort on our children's education needs.
The Oluremi Tinubu flag off distribution of books to secondary schools in Osun State. The National Security Advisor, Nur Ribadu, has handed over rescued Kaduna journalists. The journalist and family of one of them were handed over after undergoing post-trauma examination in the office of the NSA.
I want to formally hand them over to you, Honorable Minister of Information. And just like many others we have done in the past, it has been a continuation of efforts of all the security agencies, and we hope and pray that time will come when we will be able to overcome this terrible thing happening to us as people. I want to assure you and assure Nigerians that we are working. It's a matter of time. It will come to an end.
Minister of Information and National Orientation appealed to Nigerians to keep faith with the Tinubu administration, assuring that all kidnapped persons will be brought home safely.
I want to reiterate that this is part of the ongoing effort that the NSA is doing to bring back people who have been taken into custody without paying ransom. This is part of the desire of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is the mandate given to them to ensure that all those who are kidnapped, security agencies are at their best, using new tactical methods to ensure that these kidnapped victims are brought back to their homes, to their families in safety.
We want to tell Nigerians that with the support of every citizen, the government can actually do this. I never thought that within a week of our kidnap, even though it was torturous, it was painful in there, but even the bandits themselves were saying that they were surprised that we have to go just within a week of our kidnap. So we are grateful that the government swung into action after the call for intervention, and we are grateful to the boot on ground, to the team that did the job.
The rescued journalists and their families were kidnapped from their homes in Kaduna about a week ago. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have intercepted various quantities of cocaine and opioids concealed in soles of shoes, clothes and other items being shipped to the United States, United Kingdom and Cyprus via some courier firms in Lagos. Sawa Khalil Ibrahim tells us more.
No less than 250 grams of cocaine going to Cyprus was hidden in soles of custom-made shoes. More than 5 kilograms of opioids heading to the US and United Kingdom were discovered by NDLEA officers in clothes and other household items meant to be shipped through some courier firms in Lagos. Following credible intelligence, NDLEA operatives in Edo State on Wednesday, 10th July, intercepted a vehicle at Isan Central Local Government Area. A 30-year-old man was searched and was found with custard containers where 3,000 pills of tramadol were buried in the custard powder. In another operation, at least 2,455 kilograms of materials for the production of akuskura, a new psychoactive substance, were recovered from a warehouse in Konduga town, Konduga local government area of Borno State on Thursday, 9th July, when NDLEA operatives in a joint operation with men of the Nigerian Army raided the area. The following day, Wednesday, 10th July, in Lagos, raided a warehouse in Lekki where they recovered 148 cartons of non-medical nitro oxide, popularly called laughing gas. A female suspect was arrested in connection with the seizure. With the same zeal, commands and formations of the agency across the country continued with their war against drug abuse, with sensitization activities, seizures and arrests. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
In a world where depression and mental health struggles are becoming more endemic, substances like cocaine, marijuana or tramadol are seen as quick fix remedies to evade obvious realities. But what used to be an act indulged in by a handful has now become a social activity engaged in for sheer entertainment and pleasure by most youth. Daniel Adere in this report delves into the realities of narcotic drugs and how it affects the society.
Nigeria is a country known for diverse things, one of which is fun and entertainment. And because ours is a population largely dominated by youth, the party almost never stops, hence why there is always a party to be hosted every other week. But what happens when a party becomes a drug haven?
The one themed "Go hard or go home, choose your poison" was actually somewhere in Sun City Estate in Abuja here, and where we made 60 arrests. We actually got the organizer of the party, we had, out of that, 6 of them were actually set aside because illicit substances, ecstasy, cannabis, and the rest were found on those ones, while I think 36 others illicit substances were found in their systems.
But how do you fight a hydra-headed monster, particularly one that specifically targets youths? But more importantly, how do you dissuade youths from towing the path of this monster, which in most cases ends in doom?
We are aware that there are people who are struggling with this substance, who may not know how to get help or are afraid of being judged or being stigmatized. So one of the things that the leadership of the agency has done is to provide a call center through which people can sit in the comfort of their homes from any part of the country, call the toll-free helpline 0800 10 20 30 40. And there at the other end of the line at our call center, we have our experts, counselors, clinical psychologists, psychotherapists, psychiatric doctors, all working 24/7, 7 days of the week.
Now, we stepped out to engage some young Nigerians as to why they think youths generally indulge in hard drugs. And this is what they had to say.
A parent living in a place where people smoke, bringing their children up there, definitely the child will see those adults smoking, drinking, is learning from them. So while growing up, you like to say, okay, let me try what these adults they are trying, let me see how it is.
I feel content. Most of all these contents we watch online, not only online, both movies. So they depict some of all these drugs that make people want to go into it, not just because they're having issue or anything, but just because of what they are watching online.
Okay, for me, I feel it's due to neglect from families. And another factor is peer pressure. Because when you are with some friends and they are doing some kind of things and you don't do that, they'll make you feel so inferior, or they make you feel bad that you don't do what they do. So sometimes they make people go into these things just to act the same way they act.
Stress certainly is a part of human existence, and there is no gainsaying to this fact. But however, people deal with stress levels in different ways. But that is not to say that in the bid to deal with stress, you resort to taking substances that eventually would mean the deterioration of your health and even your body. So what am I saying in essence? If you must take drugs, and drugs in this sense, I mean drugs that actually help you grow, be sure to make sure that these drugs are medically tested, certified and approved by a pharmacist and a medical doctor. In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NTA News.
Intercepting close to 20,000 litres of petrol within 3 days is a feat which the Special Task Force named Operation Whirlwind has vowed to sustain simply because of the huge economic loss the diversion of such volume will have caused the country as a way of cutting the supply chain. The national coordinator of the unit, Hussein Ejibono, said the operation of the same will soon be extended across the borderline, serving as destination for such diversion. Michael Olale reports.
Worried by the trend in which petroleum products already subsidized are diverted to neighboring countries, thereby incurring huge financial loss for the country, Operation Whirlwind Task Force team was set up to defend the national currency while reducing pressure on domestic demand. These 750 jerry cans of petrol are products of 3 days of extensive operations propelled by intelligence sharing and desire to nip bunkering in the bud.
Like Ijong, it was intercepted where somebody passed a nozzle underground across to the next building, and they were there doing their normal business. Otherwise, you will just be driving, you drive past the filling station, you will not see any activity there. You think, oh, these people, they are not selling. But at the backyard, they are there doing their illegitimate trade.
For the customs, the success is not just about intercepting the commodity, but ensuring that the proceeds of such crime are not allowed to cross the border.
We have already succeeded in cutting the supply chain out, in the sense that, for instance, in Adamawa, before we got to Adamawa, fuel was selling for 950, but with our operations there, price fell to 690.
As a way of sustaining the successes achieved by the anti-bunkering operation, the unit says it will heighten surveillance across the 20 borders in the country while assuring that perpetrators have a date with the courts. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
The federal government is set to ensure effective implementation of the National Glaucoma Guideline and Toolkit by improving capacity of eye health professionals. Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Alipati, in a message at the Forum on Glaucoma in Abuja, explains that refining eye care and other health threats is attracting necessary attention. Olusheye Adiagbo reports.
Glaucoma causes irreversible damage in the nerves that operate in the eye and still leads cause of irreversible vision loss globally. In recent reports of the Nigeria Blindness and Vision Impairment Survey, 0.78% of Nigerians of all ages are blind. This is increasing significantly with illiteracy and age, as more than 1 million citizens over 40 are blind.
And if we as ophthalmologists practice according to guidelines,
collective action, including integrated patient-focused care, is therefore required to tackle glaucoma. And at this workshop, consultants as well as the technical working group are examining the clinical management of patients and pragmatic management of glaucoma in this document of the Nigeria Glaucoma Guideline and Toolkit.
It has a spectrum of promotive care, preventive care, treatment, also rehabilitation. So we have that wide spectrum of care, for the patient. And in the end, the goal of the whole thing is to ensure that we have improved outcomes for patients who already have glaucoma, to ensure that they maintain functional vision throughout the rest of their lives.
So 5 in 100 of people that have glaucoma are blind from it, and that means they can't see with both eyes. So this toolkit is developed so that it helps glaucoma care teams to manage glaucoma.
Drivers of this training expect the outcome of these support projects to serve as guide for health institutions on having better methods to treat people with glaucoma. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Let's take a break now. More reports when we return.
From the creeks of the Niger Delta to the breathtaking scenery of the plateau, in noonday and nighttime, we set out to bring to you captivating stories that evoke your emotions. For fascinating documentaries and reports on day-to-day issues with expert analysis, tune in to NTA News24, DSTV Channel 419, GoTV Channel 26, StarTimes Channel 101 and 433, and Free TV Channel 703.
Thanks for being there. In a bid to attract investment and stimulate economic development, the Katsina State government has introduced a range of policies aimed at creating conducive business environment. Governor Dikko Radda announced this during a Katsi visit by Executive Secretary of the National Investment Promotion Commission, Aisha Rimi. Awal Haliru reports.
The visit aimed to strengthen collaboration between Katsina State Government and the Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission to promote investment and economic growth in Katsina State. By collaborating with the Commission, the state aims to showcase its investment potential and attract businesses that will contribute to its economic development. The Executive Secretary Aisha Rimi explained that the Commission is touring states nationwide to promote investment opportunities and facilitate economic development.
So part of our duties is to go out, and we are very intentional about this now, to go out to meet with states so that we can partner with the governors and the state investment promotion agencies, to also talk to investors who are operating to understand what their issues may be, challenges, where their challenges lie, and how we can even help them expand and grow their businesses.
Governor Dikko Radda highlighted several measures implemented by his administration to enhance investment drive. These include introduction of Treasury single account to streamline government revenue collection, automated revenue collection system, and the establishment of Katsina State Geographical and Information System to provide accurate data for investors.
In the state, since when we came on board, I've been trying to see how we can ease business and allow business to come in and the flow of investment to come in without much restriction.
Additionally, the government has initiated various programs to add value to agriculture, a key sector driving economic development in the state. These policies, the governor said, demonstrate Katsina State government's commitment to fostering economic growth and improving the lives of its citizens. In Katsina, Awal Haliru, NTA News.
You apparently have heard about the saying that the rich also cry. Well, this time, no one cries. But the #1 citizen of Nigeria went emotional as a stage play held to honor the late mother of the president, Aibatu Mogaji. State House correspondent Musbat and Wahab reports that the play to celebrate her life played up the motherhood, legacy and resilience of late Yaloja General.
History has told stories of many Nigerian heroes and heroines. Yet, there are many untold stories and unsung great ones. But when it is time, this particular story finds the right stage. The story of Abibatu Mogaji, which reenacts the motherhood, legacy, and the resilient spirit of the late woman leader, premiered in Abuja. with a destined child on the biggest seat in the land. Even her grandchildren and other Nigerians from distance literally saw the late Iyaloja general on this stage as the play captures her human parts and roles in the quest for national freedom, creation of Lagos State, as well as her detribalized nature. By the play, the great grassroots mobilizer might have seen these present days coming years ago. Thanks to the team for bringing back the memories, but despite his usual charismatic and resolute persona, it was a nostalgic moment for President Tinubu.
My first restaurant was her breast. My first toilet was on her lap, and my first ever bedroom was on her back. And I thank God for the gift that I had from her. And that gift is an enduring one. Character, determination, never to give up.
The show also generously displayed the culture of southwest Nigeria, particularly Lagos, and indeed a call for the need to protect the cultural heritage of the country.
We will invest in Nigerian culture and art for the education of our children and for the benefit of mankind.
How best can we help walk this path of reclaiming our greatness without telling the stories of our heroes past to inspire our up-and-coming legends? This is the basis for this tale of legends, which we are starting today with the fascinating story of our great Mama Amaja Bibatu Ashabi Mogaji.
And the show continues in other parts of the country.
In an extensive initiative to support education in Osun State, the First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, has flagged off the distribution of exercise books to all secondary schools in the state. Correspondent Femi Afariogun reports that wife of Osun State Governor, Titilola Adeleke, represented the First Lady at the event in Osogbo.
The flag-off distribution of exercise books to all secondary schools in Osun State aligns with broader educational reforms by the First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, aimed at improving access to quality education. Mrs. Tinubu, represented by Mrs. Titilola Adeleke, wife of the Osun State Governor, emphasized the importance of education and the role it plays in the development of young minds and the future of Nigeria.
May I use this opportunity to appeal to parents to compliment government's efforts on our children's education needs. Let us support the government of the day.
Osun State Commissioner for Education, Eluwole Adedipo, reiterated Governor Adeleke's commitment to ensuring quality education is given to the students.
Our governor is a lover of education. That is why he keyed in into the federal government programs in this state.
What you have done here
this day will go a long way to ensure effective teaching and learning.
The initiative by the First Lady of Nigeria aims to distribute tens of thousands of exercise books in Osun State, ensuring that no student is left behind. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Tailoring entrepreneurs are looking up to taking their enterprise beyond design and sewing to building network and applying communication skills to enhance their business. They expressed the desire as a team of experts from the National Productivity Center continues with productivity training for tailors in all the area councils of Abuja. Joseph Utsen has details.
Nigerian tailors are now renowned for using different African fabrics to produce quality clothes and other materials. But over time, many have struggled to sustain or even expand their businesses.
Tailors are disappointing their customers, and you will see fight here and there. They are in police station, they are in this. Some of the tailors will be even packed to a non-destination with their machine and the cloth of the customer till they deliver. But today the story has changed.
Here, a team of experts put together by the National Productivity Center are infusing productivity skills and techniques to tailors in Buari of the Federal Capital Territory to enable them reduce waste of resources and improve efficiency in a competitive tailoring business.
To avoid accidents, to enhance efficiency and improve in work environment so that any assignment being carried out will be carried out effectively and efficiently.
Now, as a fashion designer, you used to equip yourself to also a modern facilities and also acquire a new knowledge.
For one, looking at me, I have to be proud as a tailor. I am so sweet and clean, but I will add more cleanliness to what I've been doing. I'll be more organized, I'll be efficient. Above all, my communication skills with my customers has improved, not will improve.
With this training, these tailors feel they stand a chance to be more competitive in the market with quality products and services. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
Another break beckons. The news continues shortly. Glad to know you're still there. There is the common saying that when you train a girl child, you train a nation, and for the Gillibrama Women and Children Initiative, they are marching words with action through a boot camp for girls in internally displaced persons camp with the theme, Empowering Young Minds, Building Resilient Future. Daniel Aderi tells us more.
Whatever it is your story is, we just want to reassure you that you can be that person you want to be.
Summer is upon us, and like most summers, young boys and girls are often engaged in boot camps of all kinds. For Juwasi, this is unlike any other boot camp. It is for young girls with big dreams but little means.
Whenever these internally displaced girls are now exposed to these situations because of crisis and war and everything that has led them to this place, I just thought to myself, what can I do to help beyond giving them food? Of course, my NGO has been reaching out to them with food materials, educational materials and all that, but these children, these young girls, they are more vulnerable to being victims of sex trafficking, human trafficking, and if we do not put in our own quota, then who will?
Today we set out today for sensitizing the IDP girls on basic things that can help them build their confidence, develop themselves, and precisely avoid dangerous paths like being trafficked, which was one of the issues we addressed here.
Most issues have to do with even understanding what mental health entails. At the level of the IDPs, during my interactions, I see that, well, not all of them are clear about what it means. You know, they just take it as a way of life. Things happen to them and they just absorb it and not knowing what harm it's causing them. So there's need for continuous, education, sensitization to especially the vulnerable people.
As we often hear, if wishes were horses, men, or in this case, women, would ride forever. But for the likes of Rukayat and Dorothy, their dreams are not just limited by wish, but are propelled by sheer belief that it could become a reality someday.
I want to be a journalist when I grow up. I want to become a game programmer. My biggest dream is to become a fashion designer.
My big dream is to be a businesswoman.
Growing up, I found out that I love interacting with people. I love talking to people, so I built this confidence on becoming a journalist because that's the work they do. They interact, they explore, they learn. I'm just trying to be creative on my own, trying to make something different that people like. Like, for example, if I wear something like this and someone says he likes it, I'll try and make something more different than this one, that he'll like it more than the one I wore.
I love business and I'm into it right now as I speak. I'm into clothing. I buy and sell clothes.
What I've learned is that, in anything you want to achieve in this life, you have to work hard. Nothing is impossible. Nobody is better than you. Anything you set your mind to, you'll be able to do it and you can achieve all your dreams.
In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NTA News.
Indigent persons in Nasarawa State have continued to smile home as federal government sustains distribution of free fertilizers in Nasarawa State. Aliu Tijani reports that farmers in Karo, Kefi and Kokona are the latest beneficiaries.
Karo, Kefi and Kokona have their turn to the ongoing distribution of free fertilizer as part of interventions by the federal government to boost food sufficiency in the country. 100 farmers in each wards of the local government have benefited from the free fertilizer. Governor Sule warns against diversion and selling of the items as they are meant to alleviate economic hardship and perhaps crash prices of grains in the market.
In the body of this bag, you will see clearly is written that this is not for sale. So please, if you receive, which is okay, and you are not a farmer, do us a favor. You must know a farmer. Give it to a farmer so that at the end of the day, it will benefit every one of us.
He appeals to the people of the state to be patient as the gains of President Tinubu's economic reforms will soon yield results. Stakeholders laud sustained interventions of the federal government.
This surely is going to guarantee self-sufficiency in food production in the local government, and I believe across the state.
Words cannot express the joy that is in our heart. You can see it in the faces of our local farmers.
The distribution continues with the Northern Senatorial District. Aliu Tijani, NTA News.
Similarly, 200 trucks of assorted fertilizers as well as agrochemicals and improved seedlings are to be distributed and sold to farmers in the state at subsidized prices to step up food production. Governor Hyacinth Alia, who announced these at the launch of the 2024 cropping season and distribution of agricultural inputs, said the state has also taken delivery of 60 additional trucks of fertilizers from the federal government, which will be given out to genuine farmers. The Leah Sitiav report is hereby presented.
2024 cropping season and distribution of agricultural inputs to farmers is the second since the assumption of office of the present administration in the state. Governor Hyacinth earlier disclosed that, apart from the 200 trucks of assorted fertilizers and agricultural inputs procured by the state government for distribution and sale to farmers at subsidized rates, the state government has also received additional 60 trucks of fertilizers, which he emphasized will be given to genuine farmers under cooperative societies at no cost.
The fertilizer program is more than just a bag of nutrients. It is an investment in your future, your family's futures, and the future of our nation. By optimizing soil health with this fertilizer, you can expect increased crop yields, translating to higher revenues and improved livelihoods.
Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, Professor Moses Obaji, commended the priority attention given to the Ministry of Agriculture in transforming its operations, including the recruitment and training of extension workers.
Today, please take a stroll to the industrial estate and see our fertilizer blending plant. They are set to produce. And when they begin to produce, before the end of this month, the prices of fertilizers will crash.
District Head of Mbabai, Chief Boniface Ikeanenge, on behalf of the traditional institution and farmers, appreciated the timely distribution of fertilizers and other farm inputs, promising to take advantage of the situation to ensure bumper harvest. In Makudi, Elias Etiaf, NTA News.
Human factors ranging from indiscriminate dumping of refuse, improper channelization and building structures in waterways have been identified as factors responsible for flooding in Ondo State. This was at an emergency stakeholders meeting held in Akure, where deliberations centered on strategies to mitigate flooding in the state. Abiola Ario reports.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, and the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency recently predicted that Ondo State, among 20 states in the country, is likely to witness heavy rainfall in August, which could lead to flooding. Although no significant cases of flooding has been recorded so far in the state, there are indications that if measures are not put in place, NIMET predictions may come true. It is against this backdrop that the State Ministry of Environment is taking proactive steps to address the early warning signals and other flood-related causative factors, including climate change issues.
Presently, the Ministry of Environment, in collaboration with the Ministry of Local Government Affairs, we've embarked on the channelization of major canals in the state.
Participants at the forum say preventing this looming disaster remains a collective responsibility of all stakeholders.
I will ensure that you don't build where you are not supposed to build, such a way that it will not cause obstructions.
We have moved around, and then all the areas where we need to introduce drainages, they didn't have drainages. We've already started doing that.
It is expected that with improved sensitization of residents on attitudinal change, prevention and reduction of flooding in the state will be achieved. In Akure, Abiola Rio, NTA News.
Indiscriminate dumping and non-evacuation of refuse are often associated to uncleanliness of the environment of some city centers in the country. But in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State Capital, residents say reverse is the case, as they applaud the state government for putting in place workable machinery for prompt evacuation of refuse. Dianikume Ulolo reports.
In most states of the Federation, the issue of waste disposal, either by residents or government, has always generated unpleasant story. In some cases, residents dispose their waste to the drainages, and this act often complicates free flow of water in the drainage or induce health problems to the people. On the other hand, when refuse is properly disposed at designated point, evacuation by relevant government agencies are often not timely done. However, a close monitoring of refuse evacuation in Yenagoa, respondents say, is commendable the agency is taking the lead in promptly disposing waste on daily basis.
I used to come out, I'm selling food, but I used to come out between that kind 6 after 6. So daily basis they are doing it.
The respondents condemn the attitude of some residents who disposes waste on drainages and not in designated point for easy evacuation.
The government is doing well, but the residents need to be educated that they should do this thing at the right or appropriate way.
But what is the government doing to sustain the effectiveness of refuse evacuation and management?
It's achievable because we work every day. That is one. Two, I must commend the government. They don't owe us.
Why government is doing their part to make Bayelsa a clean state by evacuating refuse on a daily basis. Residents need to change their attitude. In Yenegua, Yanukume Ulolo, NTA News.
Over the years, plastics have found their way into virtually all spheres of life, occupying homes, offices, events and livelihoods, only to be discarded as waste and at an unending danger to the environment and all lives on Earth. The board is on course to do away with this danger, and Nigeria is on the mark for the takeoff. This is illustrated with the targeted ban, this time of single-use plastics by the federal government. Environment correspondent Mina Daniels will tell us what this means and what lies ahead.
I just saw you squeeze a single-use plastic, the cup you just drank with, and dropped them in the bin. Do you know the effect of that single-use plastic to the environment and to health generally? Any ideas? No? No. Okay.
Single-use plastics are plastic products that can be used only one time, after which they are disposed of. Plastic bags, straws, spoons, bottles and cups are examples of common single-use plastics.
Definitely it's something that is not biodegradable plastic, so it takes a long amount of years for it to decompose, and so it has effects on the soil, it has effects on the environment. When you see videos of how plastics pile up in water, especially in the marine areas, it affects marine life, because when it goes down, it kind of destroys the marine body, so it has adverse effects.
Nigeria produces 1.3 million metric tons of plastic annually. The waste of it is 2.5 metric tons of plastic annually. And in all of this, Lagos is responsible for about 870,000 metric tons. What do? Nigeria, at the same time again, is the largest producer of plastics in Africa. The sad side is that 70% of this plastic end up in the dump site, in the river and everything and all. Federal Ministry of Environment banned it. If you go there now, they are all selling pure water around there. There are almost 168 million sachets of pure water consumed in Nigeria every day.
To control the damaging effects of these non-biodegradable materials, the federal government has announced a ban on single-use plastics in its ministries, departments and agencies.
The Federal Ministry of Environment proposed and Council approved that a ban is placed on the use of on-the-go plastics, what we know as single-use plastics.
Well, like TJ, most Nigerians are guilty of using single-use plastics. But however, with a targeted ban by government, it could actually turn around to be the beginning of a national action against single-use plastics. So why don't you look for a healthy alternative now rather than later? In Abuja, Mina Daniels, NTA News.
One of the healthiest fruits ever known is date palm, desired by all for its numerous health benefits and natural sweetness. Now let's take a look at dates and its nutritional benefits to man.
Desert date is a thorny plant species native to many parts of Africa and the Middle East. Locally, the adwa fruit is consumed as snack. The seeds are used in oil extraction and not while the drawback of the fruit has a distinctive pungent taste.
The aqueous extract of the fruit is used in birth control. It's used as spermicidal. It is also used in whooping cough. It is used in managing skin infections. It is used to manage hyperglycemia, that's high blood glucose.
It is worthy to note as experts opine that both leaves, pulp and seeds of desert fruits contains important nutrients, vitamins and minerals, as it contains many other functional compounds like polyphenols, flavonoids, alkaloids and saponins, a structurally complex phytochemicals which is important in the human body.
Local people also use this desert fruit as a treatment of some ailments like jaundice, malaria, fever, infection, wound healing, and many.
The fruit is usually at its peak of harvesting during Harmattan season and cheap, as residents patronize it due to its medicinal value that can cure cold, flu, fever, and other ailments associated with the cold weather, among others.
I take desert dates all the time because it is good for me and also protects me from the effect of the scorching sun. I eat desert dates because it can cure so many diseases, especially pile.
When in season, Adua is highly patronized and cheap.
I sell 10 small measures a day, but during its season, I could sell a bag. Majority of my customers are women, especially the pregnant ones.
Apart from its medicinal properties, the desert date is used as an ingredient for making some delicacies like porridge and soup. The bitter-sweet taste of the fruit stimulates one to crave for more. So, have a taste of Adua.
And up next is foreign news with Garba Nata'ala.
Rwandans will begin voting in presidential and parliamentary elections. According to Rwanda's electoral body, about 9 million people are registered to vote, and at least 2 million are first-time voters. And so far, President Paul Kagame remains the most preferred candidate and has been the president of the country since 2000. Kagame is taking a fourth term in office. Only 2 candidates are challenging him. Several other candidates, including 2 prominent females, were denied the right to participate. Campaigning ended on Saturday. On the campaign trail, Kagame promised to protect Rwanda from external aggression amid tensions with neighboring DR Congo and Burundi. 8 female bodies have been recovered from a dump site in Nairobi slum in Kenya, according to Kenya's police authorities, adding that the bodies were dismembered in different states of decomposition and left in sacks. While investigations are ongoing, they are expected to conclude within 3 weeks. This strategy came following the widespread of anti-government protests. Police authorities say they were pursuing possible links to cults, serial killers or rogue medical practitioners as part of their investigation. But reports indicate there may be more as anger over the discovery grows.
The assassination attempt on former U.S. President Donald Trump puts him on the list of American presidents to have been faced with assassination, but he remains one of those lucky enough to escape death. Oyemi Ajayi brings us up to speed with a rundown of assassinations and attempts on former U.S. president.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
The moment former President Trump escaped death by the whiskers during a political rally in Pennsylvania. One person was confirmed dead, while 2 others were injured. He was shot by Thomas Crooks, a young man identified to be a high school graduate in the 20s. In the aftermath, security measures have been heightened across the rally, and world leaders have condemned the violence and expressed concerns about the dead. On the social media, discussions range from concern over political rhetoric to heartfelt messages of support for Mr. Trump and his family. Throughout history, the United States has faced similar challenges, each leaving an indelible mark on the nation's path. The assassination attempt on President Trump becomes the 13th in a row. The first was recorded in 1865 when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in his home while watching a play alongside his wife. He died the next day. In 1881, James Garfield, the 28th President of the United States, was shot while walking at a train station in Washington, D.C., 6 months after taking office. He died of his wounds a few weeks later. In 1901, William McKinley, who was the 25th President, was shot and died 8 days later. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt was running for the White House as a former president, was shot in Milwaukee, but he survived. 1933 was when Franklin Roosevelt, the 32nd president, escaped an assassination attempt which killed the mayor of Chicago. In 1963, John F. Kennedy, 35th president, was fatally shot while riding his motorcade through downtown Dallas and died in a hospital a few hours later. One could remember that of 1968, Robert F. Kennedy, the younger brother of John F. Kennedy, who was campaigning for the Democratic nomination, was shot dead by Sirhan Sirhan.
Today, I have stood where once Jefferson Davis.
In 1972, George Wallace, who was seeking the Democratic presidential nomination, was shot 4 times, though he didn't die, but the wounds from the shots left him paralyzed for the rest of his life. 1975, Gerald Ford, the 38th president, escaped 2 assassination attempts within 17 days, both in California, Sacramento, and San Francisco, and both attempts were carried out by women. 1981, Ronald Reagan, the 48th president, was shot by John Hinckley. The bullet pierced Reagan's left lung, narrowly missing his heart. Reagan survived the attempt to his life. 1994 will always be remembered as when Bill Clinton, the 42nd president of the United States, had his experience inside the White House when Francisco Matindoran fired at the building using a semi-automatic rifle. Clinton was unharmed. The most recent was in 2005 when George W. Bush, the 43rd president, attended a rally in Tbilisi with Georgian president when a man threw a hand grenade towards the podium. It did not explode and no one was hurt, but the culprit was sentenced to life in prison. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
And now to some sports stories. Okay, we'll take sport in our subsequent bulletin, and that's it on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.